Hi, I'm going to talk about the Student Handbook. Student Handbook is available on the website. It's available to everybody. Your family can read it. You can read it. It's there so that you'll read it because it is basically scintillating reading summarized here because most of you won't read it. So let's go through it briefly. First off, it's got 38 pages. It's shorter than the Policies and Procedures Manual, which is like 150 pages. It covers your graduation requirements. It covers when you can add and drop classes, and it covers discipline, which is about half the book. So it's stuff that you should probably know. Students may add or drop courses during the first 2 weeks of the course for year-long courses. Almost all of our courses are year-long courses. We do have some summer, some semester courses, but you really, really want to know right off the bat that you're happy with your schedule. And if you're not, please change it in the first couple weeks. There are very rare exceptions to this, but for the most part, you're stuck in those classes for the rest of the year. So if you don't like me, that's great. If you don't like somebody else, that's fine, but just figure out if there's somebody else you can sit in on that you would like better so that you can actually enjoy your life. So please, that happens in the first 2 weeks. So right off the bat, you're like, I really can't handle Maloney's class. That's fine, but do make an effort to do that change right off the bat, rather than waiting until 3 or 4 weeks in and you're like, I don't like you and you don't like me. And I'm like, no, please, please go and Godspeed, have fun in another class rather than trying to endure mine for the rest of the year. All right. So, um, graduation requirements. They're dense. There's a lot of them here. There's minimum requirements on the left, medium requirements in the middle, and rigor requirements on the right. Those of you who are aiming for with rigor from Mia, that's going to be 10 credits in performing arts, 8 to just graduate, and 1 if you're just barely skating by and want to just graduate with something. But at the bottom there's this thing I underlined called the Senior Capstone Project. That's what all of our presentations are based on. It's because you're required to do that to graduate from MIA, regardless of the level of graduation. You need to do that. So that's what we're going to spend a lot of time on. You're like, wow, that's a lot of credits. Yes, honors classes give you 1.5 credits. At least that's currently what's happening. And college courses that you take through UMA or other colleges give you 2 credits. So those of you who are trying to do a lot of arts and less academics, this gives you some leeway, and it's really worthwhile spending the time to figure out how you're going to get those credits. Make sure you graduate at the same time. Maybe you can minimize the amount of time you spend in academics if you really want to spend your time in the arts. Attendance. Turns out attendance is actually required. It's supposed to be part of your final grade. This may or may not be in different classes, but certainly your arts classes, they're going to probably ding you for not being there. If you do have a crisis at home, please talk to administration beforehand rather than afterwards. They're pretty good about giving you an approval to have extended absences and trying to work with you to make sure you catch up with those credit. But you need to talk to them. You can't just like disappear for 2 months and expect that you're going to graduate. Okay, so just realize, okay, I need to do something. I need to be proactive. I'm sick as a dog. I want to make sure I talk to them. Okay. All students are enrolled in 9 to 12th. You're going to do MIA. So there's a fall grading, there's winter grading, and there's spring NUIAs. The NUIAs are if you do really well at the NUIAs in the fall, then and do poorly throughout the winter and spring, we look poorly as a school. So fall, you do, okay, and winter you do slightly better, and spring you do best. Looks makes us look the best. So just keep that in mind. I've had students who really slammed it in the fall and then were exhausted in winter and spring. And I'm like, you just showed that the school actually decreased your educational ability rather than increased your education. But just keep that in mind that you're being graded. We are being graded on the idea that you are gradually improving throughout the year. All right. Discipline. So you normally would start with discipline, teacher warning, go to the office, return with a plan from the office, get a secondary warning if you're still doing it, get a parental meeting, maybe get a 504 meeting, and then get suspended. And that's for stuff like vulgar language, defiance, dress code, or cell phone use. So these are all things that you can do. Then there's also discipline that might involve you immediately being suspended. That's violence of any kind. Don't hurt anybody. Drug use, bullying, or sexual harassment is going to get you suspended right off the bat. Plagiarism, somewhere in the middle. Plagiarism, don't take anybody credit. Don't create credit for somebody else's work ever. Give them credit, please. And cell phones are not permitted in the class. That's the standard rule. The rule is I take them, I give them to the office, you get them back at the end of the day. And that's the student handbook in a nutshell. Thanks for coming.